C, Episode 5, Plastic. I'm Joe. Please subscribe to our channel. I got plenty of other great videos coming up. Hope to have you along for the ride. I woke up early to watch it. I didn't even set an alarm clock. I was so excited that I naturally woke out of my slumber to watch Episode 5 of C, Plastic. The show had a rough start for me. The first episode I thought was unique. The second episode I thought was comical. The third episode I thought was just too dark and macabre. But the fourth episode, things started to come together. And in this episode, business really picks up. The family has to retrieve whatever's in the pouch that was stolen from Margaret. That's story A. Story B, the Queen is out in the wilderness after destroying the dam. So let's just go through the big spoiler. We find out, and there was clues throughout the last 4 episodes that we saw or didn't see, or you could think back to. We find out that the Queen's sister was not dead. The Queen's sister was Margaret the whole time. What a great reveal. And it makes sense. I was thinking about the character of Margaret. I think about the command presence she has, and it's like they haven't really explained that. A little bit of a secrecy about her, and you kind of figured that was going to come out in this episode because of the pouch. But there was a presence, a way that she was able to just basically command Baba Voss, even though Baba Voss was the tribe leader. I'm gonna go through the Queen story first. So in the last review, I complained that we never really got to see Pion Society, and I thought that was a missed opportunity. Mildly rectified that in this episode, because they didn't just take off with her out in the wilderness. They finished the whole destruction of the dam, and we got a glorious shot. First, we got one of the lords going, "My God has forsaken me." We had that, and then when the dam busted open, we got to see the Pion Society, which was just a bunch of ramshackle, huts down the bottom of the dam, get washed away. So at least we got that. At least we got to see that there was people out there, and we got to hear them scream, "Ah!" There was a dam, and the nobles lived in levels of the dam, and that's what we got to see. And the common folk just lived on the ground in shacks like everybody else out in the wilderness. So there you have it. There was really not much to see. They kind of explained that after I complained in the 4th episode. They must have been watching my review. The Queen's out in the wilderness. She's being, what you'd expect an entitled princess to behave like when she's out of her element. And it doesn't go well for her. Her driver's killed, prayer buddy's killed, and she is captured by a silk manufacturer. And let's just say that he's definitely breaking some labor laws. Well, he looks forward to getting to know her a little better. Isn't that sweet? I have no clue where they're going to go with this because of what happened with the second story. There's been indications throughout that Margaret is a little anti-sight herself, which is weird because she has 2 kids who can see and was a lover with a guy who can see. But it turns out she's running from her past. We had all the indications, but nothing that was ever tell you that that's what this was going to be. But they had all the seeds were planted throughout the 4 episodes about what she was and who she was. Let's just talk about what was planted in this episode. The conversation with Paris early where she says, Jera Morel tell me to be careful. I thought that meant be careful with the kid she's carrying and this woman I love. And reality, she meant be careful of you because of who you are. And then, after a little more blah, 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 hold my hand and pray with me, I thought to myself, is Paris gonna finger her? Camera cut away, and we found out at the very end of the episode, it's very possible that Paris did finger her. Because she is the Princess Margaret of the House of Cain. When the family who has gone after the whatever was in the pouch, they encountered the people had left. There was the plastic scavenger people had left because the witchfinder was coming, and they left behind one guy who happened to be the guy who stole the pouch, and that guy happened to be sighted and one of Jera Morel's other kids, because when he was on the run out to his kingdom, he stopped and hung out with these plastic people for a year and knocked up one of theirs, and then, did what he does best, flees, leaving kids This was upsetting to Margaret, obviously, because, you know, pretty much she was just used as a guy who's going around knocking up women to make more sighted children throughout the planet. They decide they're going to bring him along, which I'm thinking to myself, this seems a little mildly suspect that they're just so quickly going to bring him along for the journey because he happens to be the half-brother. Whatever. That was just totally and completely inconsequential considering what happened later. The family, who's been dicking around basically with this side journey to get whatever's in the pouch, is surrounded, and the boat's landlocked. So they go into the woods. They hide Margaret and Paris in a tree, and they're killing people, but they're surrounded. And you're thinking to yourself, okay, what the hell is going to happen? Because they're not getting out of this. And Margaret takes off, says, be careful to Paris. So that was a little bit of an indication. Starts walking and says, Tamak de June, do you hear me? And it's just a great scene. Fantastic scene. And the first thing he says is, I hear the voice of a dead woman. And when you're watching it, you're thinking to yourself, he's just being hard. He's just being hard. He's basically saying, I hear you, but I'm just going to kill you now. That's not what he meant. He recognized her voice instantly. But he had to be sure. He couldn't just assume she was the princess. And it turns out what was in her thing was a tambourine ring, or whatever the hell they call them, whatever their coat of arms is or whatever, where it's basically her ring that jingles, and it must jingle in such a very ultra specific way that you know this is the jingle of the House of Cain. And there you have it. She is the princess. She was not killed and Jeremo ran off as the queen was asserting. She ran off, and the queen maybe made it look like she was dead or faked her own death. Those are the questions we're left with. We're left with she ran off from the kingdom, and now that they've recognized this, they bow to her. Now this brings up a ton of other questions going forward, like the fact that what the hell is the deal with her? She could have stopped all of this at any friggin' time. So that's where it's like, okay, this character's dark. So that's what makes it very interesting too, because she's clearly a dark character, so we'll see where it goes with it, because she could have stopped any of this at any time. What are her motivations? We have 3 episodes left, and we're left with Margaret being the princess, the witch hunter and his army at her feet, and the queen, the captive of a silk manufacturer. Where does any of this go in the next 3 episodes? I don't know, but the show is intriguing, the show is interesting, and the show's locked me in. And there's 3 episodes left, and I think they renewed for a 2nd season. I'm happy I stuck with this show. I'm happy I laid out my $4.99 a month. I've been flipped around on this show. It's a good show. Suffer through episode 1, 2, and 3, and you get a reward with a solid episode 4, and everything flipped on its head in episode 5, and no clue where anything's going to go in episode 6, 7, and 8. No clue. I have no clue what they're going to do, how they're going to resolve this. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I was very happy at the end of the episode. Great twist. Baba Voss is the star because it's the biggest name, but the show really has been about the Queen and Margaret in a lot of ways, and this episode really focused on them flipping. What's their relationship? I imagine we're going to get to see that at some point. I can't wait to see where they go with 6, 7, and 8. Every morning, Friday, my natural alarm clock's going to wake me up so I can check it out, or maybe I'll even stay up until midnight to watch episode 6. Probably not, because I'll be tired. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to our channel. We got plenty of other great videos coming up. Once again, I'm Joe. Until next time.